It's Magic 102.3 and 92.7. We are the real sound of the DMV. VJ in the midday, it's Vic Jagger here at our exclusive meet and greet with John Legend. Y'all make some noise.
Yeah.
You know, we've been waiting for this, John. And
I've been waiting for this. I'm excited to be back. And right here in Silver Spring, always good to be in the DMV. And I'm only here for a few hours, but I had to come hang out with y'all.
It's all good.
Yes.
I have a confession to make.
What's
I have
that?
been saying your name so much today because
Uh-huh.
we've been, John Legend, we've been preparing.
Yes.
And I actually opened a break and I said Magic 102.3 and 92 Point Legend.
Okay.
And I was like,
So
I
it's
have
like-
John Legend on the brain.
Does Kathy Hughes have something to tell me? Am I part of the ownership now?
Exactly. So, you know, I want to take it way back when you first started and you were coming up, because I saw that you would sing and you would go around to places, including D.C.
Yeah.
And
So I
coming up
was-
that hustle, it
Yeah.
was so important.
I went to college in Philadelphia at University of Penn, and then when I graduated, I lived in Boston for 1 year, but then I moved to New York, and I was living there for most of my adult life, starting in the year 2000. And so I would, whenever I could get a gig up and down the East Coast, whether it was New York, Philly, D.C., or Boston or Baltimore, that's where a lot of my gigs were before my record deal happened and before my career really took off. And so I was just, in small venues, building a fan base in those places. And in the meantime, I was working a day job as a management consultant. And at night, I would go to the studio, and I would write with people like Kanye and several other producers and writers. And then, over the years, we built up a repertoire of the songs I had written, and we would give that to record labels. And, this is my demo. Sign me.
Right.
And it took a while for it to happen. I went to every major label that was around at the time, and everybody turned me down, including the one I'm signed to now. And I say everyone makes mistakes. It's okay. And then
Right. Now
and
they're
then
like, hey.
as Kanye's career started to blow up, and I was signed to his production company, Good Music, the same demo started to sound a lot better to people. When there's a lot more, happening, when they see the commercial success of somebody you're associated with,
Right.
that same music sounds a lot better to them. And so eventually those same labels were in a bidding war to sign me, and I signed with Columbia, and the rest is history. We put out Get Lifted almost 15 years ago now. The anniversary is December of this year.
That is so dope. And it just your entire journey for you to be able to even share that story, because a lot of artists come up nowadays and I feel like they think with this whole social media era that they can have instant success.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Do you have to explain that to young artists?
Well, the thing is, you can have a song blow up instantly, but you have to have something behind it. So even if a song blows up, you need to have more music behind it, first of all. And then if you want to be an artist that really maintains and is around for a long time, you have to be a great live performer. You have to be able to engage with your fans and be able to write more great music over the years so that you can sustain and not just have a one hit or two hits in a short period of time.
Because I feel like you were working with a lot of big artists. When you
Yeah.
first came out, it was like Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, and it was just
Yeah.
like, wow. Like,
Well, a lot of that came through Kanye. So I was signed to his production company, and he was producing, Alicia J, Janet Jackson, and he was getting me in the room with a lot of those people at the same time, even before those people knew who I was. And so that really helped my career start off. And then I was able to make my own music and show people that I was more than just a collaborator, but somebody that had their own music to offer.
so what was that big Mama, I made it moment for you?
Oh, I tell this story every time when someone asks me that. And it's very specific, and I remember the day. It was in 2005, right after Get Lifted had come out, and Ordinary People was starting to blow up. I got a call in the same day from Magic Johnson and Oprah Winfrey. So both of them invited me to come sing at their homes for events they were throwing. And Oprah's was called the Legends Weekend. and
Wow.
she was
like,
honoring all these black women that had inspired her. I don't know if y'all remember that, but it was a really amazing event. She had everybody there. It was like anybody you can think of that you look up to, actors, singers, supermodels. It was like everybody. So she was honoring them, and she was like, it's called Legends Weekend, so we got to have John Legend there. And I was brand new, so the fact that she even knew who I was exciting. And then Magic Johnson called me that same day. He was throwing a charity event in his backyard for his foundation, and asked me to come perform at it. And so in the same day, two people I looked up to for a long time called me. I was like, Mama, I made it.
Did your mama say, well, invite me too? 'Cause I'd have been like, I want to go to Oprah's house too.
She got to go to the Grammys with me that next year. And, Mama got to go to a lot of good events with me, and she still does.
Right. And speaking of Grammys,
Yes.
you have a lot of them.
I have 10, yes.
10 Grammys.
Yeah.
That is very great, okay? Because some folks are still trying to get one. But, in winning a Grammy, and we're going to talk about you being an EGOT winner, because I don't think people understand how important that is.
It's rare.
Being the
It
first
doesn't happen often.
man, the first black man
Yes.
to actually get that accomplished. And when you got that Emmy, right? When you were going on that path,
Uh-huh.
and it wasn't just music that you were doing. It wasn't just singing, and you started to get into producing.
Uh-huh.
And then you started getting into acting
Yeah.
and all of that. Did you ever think that you could get on that road, that path to being an EGOT winner?
Well, it only even occurred to me as we were getting close. So, I got into this business because I wanted to be a musician and write songs and perform.
Right.
And I wanted to win Grammys. I used to watch the Grammys growing up and wanted to be up on that stage. So that was always a goal of mine, but it was never my goal to win an Oscar, never my goal to win an Emmy or a Tony. But as my production company started taking off and we were doing so many interesting projects, there was that opportunity. So we won the Oscar for Glory, which we wrote for Selma. And that was just something fortunate that came about because my friend Common reached out to me and asked me to write a song with him.
Shout out to Common.
And then
The ladies out.
and then as my production company started taking off, we were working in theater, film, and television. So we produced Underground. We did a film about the Obama's first date. We did all kinds of things, documentaries, other television shows. And one of the productions we got involved with was Jitney, which is a play written by August Wilson. And we revived it on Broadway and won Best Revival of a Play, Tony. And then only thing left was an Emmy. So I had the Grammy, the Oscar, and the Tony, and all I needed was an Emmy. And NBC called me up and said, we would love you to play Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ Superstar. And they asked me to come on as a producer as well and help shape the production. And we had an amazing experience. We got nominated for an Emmy for me as an actor and also for our production, which meant that as a producer, I was nominated as well. And our production won Best Live Special. And here we are. I have an Emmy now. I'm an EGOT winner. And there's only 15 people ever that have won the Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony competitively. And I'm the first black man to have done so.
Man, in the history books, okay? Now, did you ever think that your first, and I wouldn't say your first role, but, a lot of people are saying, oh, I want to play Marvin Gaye, or I want to. When they ask you to play Jesus, we're going to get to that. When they ask you to play Jesus, okay?
Jesus. Yes.
Did you think, wow,
yeah.
Well, this is big.
It was, the invitation came, I was like, I should probably do that. But, it was daunting, too, because, it's a beloved musical that a lot of people have seen or at least heard the music from over the years. And so, it's a lot of pressure to try to do that. And to not have had a lot of acting experience going into that and to be able to do that, it was definitely a challenge for me. And I'm used to singing my own songs and not having to learn a whole show worth of material for a performance. And I worked hard. I definitely worked really hard for it. And we rehearsed a lot, studied my, lyrics a lot, just really focused and tried to really get into the character. And it went well.
And
I
that's
was so
when you know
happy.
you're doing something great, when it's a challenge and you're like, oh
Yes.
my gosh, am I going to be able to really?
Yeah, well, they say that's the most satisfaction you get is when it's that combination of it being a challenge, but also you being able to do it.
Yeah.
And when you feel that sense of satisfaction of I worked really hard for this and I did it. And you do it with a group of people, especially when you do a production of that size. Not only did you do it, but a
It was
host
like a
of people.
family, yeah.
Yeah, we did it together, and that's a beautiful feeling.
Definitely. And today we're celebrating Marvin Gaye's 80th birthday. So we've been playing Marvin Gaye music
Yes.
all day.
DC's
We're going to play it
own.
all week. Yes.
Yes.
So you were talking about, I want to do that too. Play
Well,
Marvin
yeah, I
Gaye.
mean, I've made it clear to my team we want to find a way to do a Marvin Gaye biopic with me playing Marvin, but we'll see if that ever comes to fruition. But it's something we would like to do.
Well, can you talk about how his music has influenced you?
Oh,
in your
absolutely.
career?
Well, people always ask me like, why do you feel like you can be both a singer and an activist, or why do you feel like you can put activism into your art? And I always felt like Marvin and other artists like him were an example of that. And to me, that's what an artist did. It wasn't
Right.
like something that I thought was strange or foreign. I thought this is what an artist does. I listened to Stevie, Marvin, Nina Simone, so many great artists over the years who have always thought of themselves not just as a singer, not just as a performer, but as someone who gives back to the community, but also is an activist and fights for what's right and speaks out for what's right. And so I've always thought of that as part of the artist's job. And Nina Simone actually said it's an artist's job to reflect the times. And Paul Robeson said artists are the gatekeepers of truth.
You
And
better
so
get these quotes going.
and so I always use that as inspiration to me, and those are examples to me of what an artist is supposed to do. And so Marvin is certainly one of those for me, and not only as an activist and as a leader, but just the voice. I mean,
Man, have you been practicing?
There's very few there's very few voices in the world that I think can compare to Marvin's voice, and he's one of the greatest of all time.
You're like, and I
Yeah.
can, and I can do that. Have you been practicing though?
What do you mean?
I mean,
I've been covering Marvin Gaye songs since I was a kid.
right. So you
yes,
know where
I've
I'm
been
going with that.
practicing.
That was my way of sliding in.
I've been really trying, baby. Trying to hold back these feelings for so long. And if you feel like I feel, baby, come on. Come on. Let's get it on.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Yes. John be sitting on ready. A little audition, So you've worked with a ton of artists, and coming up now to this day and age, you have the Ariana Grandes that you've collaborated
Yeah, we
with.
did Beauty and the Beast together.
That was dope. Can I
Yeah.
say that? Because the original, with Peebo and
Celine and Peebo.
oh
yeah.
my gosh! And so, how was that working with Ariana and just putting that
Well,
collaboration together?
She's an outstanding singer, and we love her own music, and it was so cool to do this duet with her. And it's a classic. And now I have music my daughter wants to listen to when she's dancing in the living room.
Can we say we love your family
Thank
on
you.
social media? Like we feel
Luna-
like we want to see.
Luna and I
wanna see
have
that.
dancing time almost every day when I'm home. And so a lot of times she'll want to listen to my Christmas album, even in April. And but she also, like when she watches a Disney movie and the music comes on, she's like, "Daddy, let's dance." And so we get up and dance.
I do that now, and I hear songs like "Let's Dance." So, speaking of that Christmas album
Yes.
that you did, I was so excited when
I
I
had
found out that you were putting out a
loved
Christmas
making that album. I loved making that Christmas album. I always loved Christmas music, and I grew up in a family where we really celebrated Christmas. We would have the dinner. The whole family would gather at my granny's house, which was probably smaller than this room.
That's
but,
the best. That's
but
the best
we
time,
would all
though.
we would all cram into there, and at the end of the day, we would get by the piano and we would sing. And so Christmas music was always an important part of the way my family connected with each other. And so I always wanted to make a Christmas album, and it took me a while to actually do it, but once I started doing it, it was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. And we had so much fun, not only just making the album, but touring with it, doing the TV special for NBC, the whole thing. We had a great time.
I was supposed to say, how was that working with your wife? Because she was so funny.
She's so
when
good
she was
at
promoting it,
Yes.
and she's just like, John has an album coming out, and she was just like singing with it.
Yes,
I loved it.
Well, she's really obviously more funny and a better actor than me. And so just getting her involved in the TV special was so much fun for us. And we really made it a family affair. We had my whole family come in from Ohio and come sing with us and be a part of the special. And we really made it something that was authentic and really a family affair for us.
It's always a family affair
Yes.
at the Legend House.
Yes.
Okay. And why didn't you tell us? You're supposed to be like our play cousin. Why you ain't tell us we were saying your wife's name wrong?
Well,
all this time.
Well, here's the story. Her mother's from Thailand, but her father is Norwegian, and the official pronunciation of their last name is Teigen.
Right.
But she got tired of correcting people when she was young, when she started modeling, and so she just started telling everybody it was Tegan. And it's been Tegan ever since.
It has been
But
Tegan.
the official pronunciation from the original Norwegian is Teigen.
Teigen. It's
Yes.
Chrissy Teigen, y'all. And we
Yes.
probably still going to say it because people are so used
If
to
she
that.
told people ahead of time and didn't give up on it, it would be fine. No one would know the difference. They would be like, oh, Chrissy Teigen. But now
Right.
everyone's so used to Chrissy Teigen that it's hard to switch back now.
I know. And it's so funny because we see you guys just being yourselves on social media. Have you ever thought about doing a reality show with your family, or do you think that's like where you draw the line?
We've been
a little bit?
asked a lot, and we've said no up to this point. I'm not saying we would never do it, but right now I don't feel like we will. But who knows? Maybe we'll change our mind in a few years. But right now we've decided we don't want to do it. We're out there enough, and we get to control it. And we would control it if we had a reality show, too. Obviously, there's editing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, I feel like we share as much as we want to share.
Yeah, and Chrissy shares a lot.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah,
She
we didn't
shares
go
a
to the,
lot.
was it the Grammys? We didn't go to the Grammys.
Yeah, and I was
John is
asleep on the
asleep.
couch.
This is what John is doing.
We actually watch the Grammys, but normally when we go to the Grammys, you have to get there early. And first of all, we have to air it in LA for East Coast time. So the show starts at 5 o'clock, and that means you have to get to the red carpet like 2:30, 3 o'clock, so you can get situated, get your pictures taken, do your interviews, and then if you have to perform, get ready for the performance. So normally, if we're going to the Grammys, we're moving at like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I was napping on the couch at that time.
But it was so funny because
She said he got that EGOT. He got that EGOT, and he got lazy.
It was too funny. I hope that y'all do consider a reality show because, with your kids and
Yes.
Miles and, becoming a father and working as hard as you do. And Chrissy is working too
Yeah,
a
she's
lot. She
working
has
too.
shows and everything. I'm like, two
Yes.
busy parents. How do you balance that work life and home life? Even though
Well,
we see you at home, because we like, okay, John
we're-
does go
we're-
home and sleep.
We're actually home a lot. People think we're gone a lot more than we are. First of all, Chrissy's job, a lot of what she does is for her cookbook and her website. And so she does a lot of that from home. When she's having meetings about her kitchenware line with Target, she does that at home.
I got
So
it. I
so
got
she
it too.
she
Tell
definitely
her.
works from home.
Till I got that book. I'm doing all the recipes. Okay, that jerk lamb.
She's
was-
got some good recipes in there. And so, she does a lot of that from home. And then, when I'm not touring, I'm home a lot too. Even though I go to the studio and write, I'll do that for like 5 or 6 hours, maybe go to a meeting, but then I'm home the rest of the day. And so we're actually home a decent amount. We spend a lot of time with the kids. But of course, it's, you got to have childcare, and we got grandma around too,
love
Chrissy's
her
mother.
mom.
Yes. So we're covered one way or the other, but we like to spend a lot of time with the kids and really have a fun time with them.
Now, do you ever, because I was wondering this, when it was announced that you were one of 6 voices for Google Assistant.
Yes.
Did you show your kid, like Luna, did you do the whole thing for her? Like, that's daddy's voice. That's
No, we haven't done it. I don't think I want her to hear my voice on the Google Assistant because I just think it's a little weird.
Okay, yeah.
It might be a little too freaky.
She's
So like
Daddy?
Dad's right here, Dad's in there. We'll let we use the standard Google Assistant voice.
Now, is that something that you want to, I guess, get more into the whole tech side of things? Because I feel like there's no barrier to what you.
We invest in tech and we invest in startups sometimes, and we're not really that heavily involved in running anything on the tech side, but we definitely invest in it. And, I let people who are experts at what they do what they do. But if we feel like it's a good investment opportunity, we get involved.
Honestly, I feel like whatever you put your hands on or whatever you're into is a winner anyway. Clearly.
You win some, you lose some, but you just hope you win more than you lose. And, it's like with anything. You try to work with the best people because I think the quality of your collaborators helps predict how successful you're going to be. And then, you just sometimes you have to take some risks, and sometimes it pays off, sometimes it doesn't.
Now, is there anyone that you would love to collaborate with that you haven't worked with yet? Because I saw you were working with Cardi B, and I was like, wow.
Well, we didn't do a song together. She's
right,
she's on our show. We have a new hip-hop reality show called Rhythm and Flow. It's a competition, just like you watch The Voice or you watch American Idol. And there's been a lot of shows for singers, but we haven't really had that same kind of show for rappers. And so this is really the first show of its kind that is a major big budget competition show for rappers, and our judges are T.I., Cardi B, and Chance the Rapper, and so we're producers on the show, and I make a cameo on the show a couple times, but really the show is all about them as judges and a lot of guest judges who are also legendary MCs, and then the new talent that we're going to discover on the show.
And so I'm trying to speak that into existence because she had success with Bruno Mars. So I feel like
I would love to. I love Cardi. I would definitely do a song with her.
Yeah, that would be super dope. So talking about The Voice.
Yes.
You're in the headlines, right? You know that, right?
Well, for what this time?
I know, right?
Anytime me and Chrissy tweet something is in the headlines. So.
I was about to say, we should not. It's more of like Chrissy done started something. You're like, yeah, I just let her go. She right. and what?
Exactly.
Most of the time, you are like, she's cool.
Yes.
But no, they say that you, quote unquote, made a rookie mistake on The Voice.
Well, here's what I did.
And I'm like,
and I actually met one of Matthew's relatives today at the studio. But here's what I did. Matthew and Sean, I think, have very similar styles, and they're both really good, and I didn't want to lose either one of them, but I felt like with my battle pairings, I wanted to pair up people that had more similar styles to each other so they could sing the same song and be judged on an even plane. And so I put two really dope singers that I didn't want to lose together, so I had to lose one of them. And they said that's a rookie mistake, but I felt like my team is well-rounded, and I got a great squad, and I'm still fine with it. And I knew Matthew was going to get picked up by somebody else, and I'm fine with that too, and I'm happy for him.
Yeah, I mean, they were giving you, it was like think pieces on it. I'm like, was it really that big of a deal?
They need to write think pieces on how many times I was blocked.
They're like, everybody's like, right. Now, how has working on The Voice been for you? Because you have...
Other than the blocks, it's been great. I came in on the first day, and all three of them blocked me the first day. And, I was a little, because when you're new, I think you're really just listening and you're being very, judicious. You're like, I don't want to turn around too quickly. And they had a little more experience, so they knew, if they liked somebody and they thought I might like them too, they were like, block. And so I was the last one to get to use my block, but when I used it, it was fun. It was definitely fun.
That's super dope. So speaking of The Voice, I love how you use your voice to speak out on issues through your music. 6 studio albums, 4 live albums, 2 video albums. Yeah, I had to run it down. And it's not all like the whole panty dropper and come to the bedroom.
We got some of those too.
But I'm just saying, I love how you use your voice to.
Look, like I said,
wait a minute now.
Like I said, my examples have been people like Marvin Gaye. He had Sexual Healing, but he also had, What's Going On. Stevie Wonder had You and I, and he also had Ribbon in the Sky, but he also had Inner City, Living for the City. He had, so many socially conscious songs over the years. And he also, outside of his music, was an activist as well. And so those people have always been my examples. So I never thought of it as something that, had to be one or the other. You could do both.
Right. Well, you better preach.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. You mean my new single,
Your
Preach?
your new single, Preach. And I saw you post and you put the quote, I can't just sit and hope. I can't just sit and pray.
Yeah, and we were inspired writing the song last year because we wrote it last year, and it was right after the massacre that happened at Parkland in the school down in Florida, and every time one of those events happens, no matter where it is, you hear the politicians say, "We send our thoughts and prayers to this or that family or this or that community," and they never followed up with any action. And so we can take action. You see New Zealand, as soon as that massacre happened, they changed their gun laws in 10 days. Australia, same thing happened. They changed their gun laws almost immediately. And we don't have the will to do it here in America. Our politicians are letting us down. And so I wanted this song to be really both an inspiration and an admonition saying, we can't just sit and hope and pray for things to get right. We have to actually do something to make them right. And so that's what the song is about. That's what the video's about. And we followed it up with many documentaries about people who are actually taking action in their community and making a difference. So the first person we interviewed was Sabrina Fulton, Trayvon Martin's mother. The second person was a brother named Desmond Meade from Florida who had been locked up for a long time, came home and got a law degree and really wanted to do things to help himself and help other people like him that were returning home from prison. And he kept finding so many barriers in his way, so he just decided he was going to knock those barriers down himself. He formed this organization called the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, and they fought for an amendment called Amendment 4 in Florida that restored voting rights to all the former felons, and 1.4 million people became eligible to vote and register to vote because of his action. And so what we wanted to do with that little series of documentaries was to say it is possible to make change locally or on a state level. And I think everybody feels like every problem is so big and daunting that they can't actually make a dent in it. But we can make a dent in some of these things, and we can get involved. And I wanted to show people that we're doing that, and then also offer people the opportunity to either donate or volunteer, match them up with organizations that are doing things they're passionate about, and give them the opportunity and the inspiration to do something.
And really quick, I know that, this is so timely that you released that. And then, I'm sure you all have heard that we lost Nipsey Hussle suddenly. And you also posted about it. And one thing that I love that Nipsey was in the community and he was really making things happen.
Yeah.
And you were with him not too long ago.
We were literally together on Thursday, right in that same area where it went down. And now I'm reading. Apparently, there were a lot more security precautions than I even knew about while we were shooting the video, because they were worried that something like this might happen.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what the situation is. I don't know the details, but we're reading this now, and it's crazy because we were shooting on top of a parking garage, and it had a view of the whole area of Los Angeles, and he was pointing out to me. We were just talking. I was like, "Where are you from?" He's like, "I'm from right here. You can see it right here." And he was so proud of his neighborhood and his community. And he had not only was he proud of it, but he was making efforts to invest in it. So he bought property in the area, built a store in the area, was investing in real estate in the area, and really wanted to uplift the community by really investing in it, not just kind of from afar, but up close and personal. And then to see that pride in him, to see that work he was putting in, makes it all the more tragic when you lose him right in front of the store that he invested in, right in the community he grew up in. It's just a tragic, sad thing. And I wish the best to his family and his loved ones and to that whole area, because I think everybody's really grieving and mourning that right now.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, we have your new single that we are going to play, Preach. And we're going to wrap it up here with John Legend, but we're going to play his song really quick. And they can follow you on social media everywhere.
At John Legend everywhere, and johnlegend.com. That series I was talking about of documentaries is on johnlegend.com/can'tjustpreach. And that's a great way to see those great people that I was talking about who are doing really important work in their community.
And so is a tour coming soon, John? Because I
As
know
soon as
you
I
just
finish this album, and we got a lot of stuff going on with the voice too, so I'm like trying to balance it all. But I'm in the studio now writing, and I got a lot of great songs already, and I can't wait to put it out.
I could talk to you all day because I want to know about the writing process. It's just so much, John, so much. You have to come back and see us.
I will come back. Thanks for having me.
Y'all give it up for John Legend.